We're going to discuss a cube and its root. First, we're going to look at what is a cube. A cube can be defined as also being a square prism, which is a rectangular prism where each face has 4 equal sides and 4 right angles. Also, the volume of a cube is given as length times width times height, where your length, width, and height are all equal. So now we beg the next question is, how do I cube a number? Well, meaning that if we take a number, we're going to create a prism with equal length, width, and height. And from that, we'll be able to examine the volume of those cubes. So now, let's take a look at a few cubes here. So here we have a few cubes. Looking at our first cube here, if you see the first face, it looks as if we have a height of 1, a length of 1, and a width of 1. So we look and find the volume be length times width times height. So this would be 1 times 1 times 1, which is 1. All right. Now we look at the next cube. Here, the height is going 1, 2 units high and 1, 2 units long and 2 units in width. So the volume be length times width times height, which is 2 times 2 times 2, which comes out to not 6, but 8 units. Well, 8 cubic units. All right. And here, in this cube, go 1, 2, 3 high, 3 long, and 3 wide. So the volume, length times width times height. So we got 3 times 3 times 3, which gives me 27. And the last one here. And then we're going to look at a pattern. We have 4 high. And then this goes 4 in length. And also it's going to be 4 wide. So the volume equals length times width times height. That's 4 times 4 times 4, which would give you 64 cubic units. Now, let's examine our results. So here we have 1, 8, 27, and 64. So 1, 8, 27, and 64, these are what we call perfect cubes. All right, these are perfect cubes, which means if we take the number of blocks for each one, we can create a perfect cube with those blocks. And we talked about how do I cube a number. Let's go back and look at how you're looking at the volume. Here we have 1. First, we have 1 times 1 times 1, where the length, width, and height are all 1. If we rewrote this as an exponential expression, that will come out as 1 to the 3rd power. And so, since we take 1 and multiply it by itself going 3 times, and we actually able to create a cube from that, that means another name for raising to the third power would be called cubed. So this would be 1 cubed. Same thing here would be 2 to the third power, or 2 cubed. And same here, this would be 3 to the third power, or 3 cubed. And for our last one here, this would be 4 to the third power, or 4 cubed. So for each one, we were able to take our original number and make a cube where the length, width, and height, make a prism rather, where length, width, and height are all equal. And that's how we cube a number, by raising the number to the third power. All right, and we will generate our results from that. And raising the number to the third power, we get what we call perfect cubes. All right, now, next thing is, now we see what perfect cubes look like and how exactly what do we mean by when we cube a number. Let's have a look at what do we mean by the cube's root. All right, so what is a cube root, or what is a cube's root? So let's look at what are the dimensions of a cube. What would be the length, width, and height? Remember, on the cube, the length, width, and height are all equal. And so you do some block counting. It'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 high, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 long, and this will also be 6 in width. And now we have the length, width, and height all equal. And so the dimensions, to answer the question, what are the dimensions of the cube? The dimensions of the cube is 6. All right. And so we calculate the volume of this. This would be 6 times 6 times 6, which would give us 216. So what is cube 216's root? Or what is the cubed root of 216 written this way? Would be 6. Because 6 would be the dimensions of the cube going all the way around. All right. Now, the cube root of x, this symbol here looks like the radical sign, which it is, except this time we have a 3 on the outside. And so with the x on the inside, this will be pronounced as the cube root of x. And here, this will be pronounced as with the 8 on the inside, it would be the cube root of 8. So in short, looking at what number could you multiply to itself 3 times and get the number on the inside? For 216, we could do 6 times 6 times 6. Find the cube root of 8. That would be 2 times 2 times 2. So the cube root of 8, which will be simply 8. Would be 2. All right. Now the next question is, could we possibly have any negative cube roots? Well, let's look at the cube root of a negative 64. So based on our results is that we can take a number and multiply it to itself 3 times. So from one of our volume questions, we got 64 before. It was going 4 times 4 times 4. These were all positive. Now, what if we looked at negative 64 as negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4. All right. If we do negative 4 times negative 4, we get a positive 16. And then multiply that by negative 4 again. And this would turn out as negative 64. So can we have a negative cube root? According to this, yes, we can. So the cube root of a negative 64 would be negative 4. So in short, to cube a number, two things we can do is multiply the number to itself 3 times, or simply raise that number to the third power, and we will have successfully cubed the number. To determine the cube root of a number, we can look at the dimensions of the cube. How is the length, width, and height equal? Or what number can we multiply to itself 3 times and generate this number on the inside? So that's how we cube a number and determine the cube's root.